This morning we have 4 seniors, Conor Carey, Connor Davis, Tyrone Fleurizard, and Burke Smith, to talk to you this morning, to talk to you today. They're going to talk to you a little bit about the Grad at Grad, more specific, open to growth, and what that has meant to them in their prep careers.
We're talking about the Grad at Grad and focusing in on open to growth. I'm sure you guys remember back when you were coming from 8th grade, learning about prep. Or you actually decided that you're coming to prep. You heard that you don't want to be that 2:30 kid. Just don't be coming home at 2:30, and that is very true. If you're going home at 2:30, you're just not taking everything out of prep that you can. There are so many clubs, sports, just activities. You can make your own club. Just find something you love and just go for it. Or even if you don't know, just try something new. Also, after school, you get to talk to your teachers. They're all here to help. Before school, after school, just get to know your teachers. They're really going to help you don't be a 2:30 kid. Just be a part of the prep community as much as you can. Who was at the hockey game last night? Or who's been to a hockey game? Who's been to a hockey game? Alright, it's a little thin, guys. Hate to say it. There was a great game last night, too. Burke Smith right here, representing the team. It was just get to the games. Also, concert was last night. Good job, anyone who did it. Go be a part of prep as much as you can. Show your prep pride.
What does being open to growth at prep mean, and how has it affected me? I spent a lot of time thinking about this over the past few weeks, and I came to one conclusion about the grad aspect of being open to growth. That conclusion being that we are open to growth at prep because of the community. Kids who always wore athletic shorts, the kids whose hair hung down to their shoulders, and every single unique trait about everyone at prep is slightly hidden by the shirt and tie. This simple rule forces you to talk to people to get to know them, and thus you get to experience such an array of personalities that you simply cannot see anywhere else. This is true for everyone here, so in one way or another, everyone has some connection with everybody else. Whether it be a club, group, team, class, or mutual friend, this connection is very unique to and very strong here in the prep community. So there's how the prep community opens us to growth, and how has it affected me. On April 9th, 2012, one of my best friends, a fellow swimmer and a student at prep, made a bad decision and took his own life. I was a sophomore at the time and had not yet seen the prep community outside of the swim team, much due to my own indolence. Immediately when the announcement was made to us, administrators, teachers, faculty, and staff formed a web around us that I still to this day remember vividly. In an instant, in A103, my eyes were open, and I observed a lot over the following weeks and months. I decided to go on the sophomore and then Kairos retreats, and I'm not going to spoil anything about them, but I will say that you should absolutely make it a point to go on these. I got to see teachers from a new perspective, and seeing how genuinely they believe what they put into practice on a daily basis really enabled me to put a lot more faith into what we do here at prep. I realized that I had been so set on staying my middle school self up until this point that it's actually rather embarrassing. It was once I no longer cared about the little things like the clothes you wear, the people you hang out with, that I really found out what being open to growth at prep meant to me. I extended myself far beyond what had been my comfort zone, befriending people from a variety of groups around the school. I became much more comfortable with who I was and what I wanted to do with my life. In my time here at prep, I've had personal experiences where the easy way out was just to be stop trying and say I don't care. But being open to growth gave me the tools to overcome those obstacles, and they're the same tools available to all of you here at Fairfield Prep. Thank you, go prep.
In my freshman year, everyone's acquaintances with each other, or sort of, you kind of know a few people here and there, and the class hasn't really come together yet. And then the sophomore year, as you guys already know, it comes together a little more. People know more and more people as you have classes, and maybe you play sports with people, maybe you do clubs after school with people, whatever it may be. But then junior year, I think it starts to get a lot more cohesive as a class. You sort of come together and you form an identity, and you have you really have a certain sense of who everyone is, what your class is like, what the attitude of your class is, and that's something that's really special. And as you become seniors, as everyone here already knows up here on the stage, or on the stage, whatever this is, as these guys already know, it becomes a brotherhood, and the identity you formed, even though it may sound like a cliche, and you'll hear it a million times, it might mean nothing to you right now, but it really becomes a brotherhood, and I think that's one of the most powerful things that prep gives you is the fellow students that you have, and just being open to. I think the biggest thing is being open to everyone, not just people you play the same sport with, not just people you hang out with after school. Be open to being friends with everyone, because some of my best friends now are people that I was totally disassociated with freshman year, sophomore year, even junior year. So as you go through your prep experience, there might be kids in here who you don't know too well, and in a couple years from now you could be best friends. And when you graduate, you'll all be brothers still, because like I said, the brotherhood really is super powerful, even though it might sound like a cliche. The next thing I want to talk about is the teachers here at Prep. My freshman and sophomore years, I was kind of just interested in getting through class, preparing for the test, writing the essay. I didn't really care much about listening to teachers unless what they had to say was important for the test. Probably like many of you in here. And then my junior year, I started to realize that the teachers that are here at Prep are really some of the most influential people you can have in your lives, and that you will have in your lives before you go to college. And there's some really, all the teachers here are really smart people. They're all really devoted to helping you learn. And I think the most valuable thing about the prep teachers are that they give you, they'll give you advice, the little asides that they have when they're not talking about classwork or whatever essay or whatever quiz or test. The little asides that they give you, little stories they might tell you are, you got to listen to that, because some of the most amazing. That's pretty much it. Oh, last thing, if you have opportunities, there's a lot of great opportunities that Prep has outside of just clubs and sports, like the immersion trips and the retreats. You should definitely go on some kind of retreat. I went on a Kairos in the fall, and it was awesome. I would recommend that everyone goes on it who isn't here. Even, I don't care if you play 3 sports, drop one of them so that you can go on a Kairos. It actually is that great of an experience. So I would say definitely do that. And yeah, go Prep.
As a kid who left school at 6 because of basketball practice, I found myself leaving as soon as the bell rang. People encouraged me to stay after school and to get involved, but nothing interested me. That was a lie. Everything did interest me, but the problem was my misconceptions. I thought that chess clubs were for the nerds, and debate society was full of freaks who like to argue and scream, and debating theater was for the lames. So I didn't do a damn thing. Sophomore year came around and my classes got increasingly difficult. One of those teachers, highly talked about because of her rigor, Mrs. Hoover, didn't even give me a chance to breathe. Still to this day, I can't understand why students dislike Miss Hoover. I had exceptional grades in her class, and I give that to my love of writing. She's a phenomenal teacher. If you show her respect, she'll return it, only if you do your homework. One day I decided to go talk to Miss Hoover about an assignment. I got to her door and was stopped by the 20 or so people in her classroom. They were active. I heard her say, "I need more from you." Again. The students were so into it. It seems as if I had front row to Broadway or something. The way they moved their bodies to the music and were singing made what was supposed to be a secret turn into my face pressed against the glass. Mrs. Hoover did a double take at me and we stared at each other. That's the worst thing you can ever do, is stare Mrs. Hoover straight in her eyes. She smiled at me and I ran. And I can tell you right now that it was through that moment that I found myself. That was through that encounter where I found my second love, acting. So the lesson is, what you're called to do is hidden. You have to go and find it. So, with that, second is outside of school. Freshman year, I was on the city bus going back home, and I was just like this, blazer, shirt and tie and everything. And a homeless lady walked onto the bus. She didn't pay the full amount of the fare, and she sat down, and the bus driver just kept harassing her. "I'm gonna call the police, you're not gonna get away with this." And the poor lady, all she said was, "I'm sorry, sir, I'll pay when I get to the station. I'm sorry, sir, I'll pay when I get to the station." At 14 years old, I had to make a decision. I could either use the 50 cents I had in my pocket to go buy something at the corner store or give it to this lady who needed it more. So we got to the station, And I walked up to the lady and gave her my 50 cents and said, here you go, ma'am, you don't have to worry about him anymore. She looked up in my eyes with grateful eyes and said, God bless your soul, young man. Who are you? In my head, I'm like, I'm 14 years old, I don't know you, why would I tell you who I am? But the first thing I said was, Tyrone Fleurizard from Fairfield Prep, and I showed her my Fairfield Prep pin, which is $5 in the prep price. So that happened, and I never saw her again. Up until last year, I walked into a local Burger King, and I saw her in the corner by herself, drawing or doing something on paper. My heart started racing. This is the same lady I helped 2 years ago. So in my head, I thought there was no way she would ever remember me. So I walked up to her, and I said, I'm sorry, man. Do you remember me? Sure enough, she looked up at me and smiled and said, of course, Tyrone Fleurizard from Fairfield Prep. I started crying because she remembered me, and she remembered that act of kindness I did 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago. 50 cents, and she remembered it. So after that encounter, I called my father and I said, Daddy, I just met this homeless lady that I told you about 2 years ago, and she remembered me. And I want to thank you for instilling me all the important values that people need to see in this world. And that was that. But when DeRosa told me to come speak to you guys, I didn't realize that Fairfield Prep and the administration has also taught me, was also the reason why I went up to that lady, when I didn't realize it then, being a prep man for others. So the lesson here is, be a prep man for others, and when you see someone struggling, without hesitation, go and help that person. Thank you.